so separated from our food source, we don't even know what's what.
So she pulled, and the corn cane here was cooked. So she put it in the turkey. She goes, Catrice, something's in the turkey. Get it out before you cut it. She's like, what? She goes,
Here we
"You
go.
got a pregnant turkey." I'm like,
And there's no head.
we were pretty well into our third bottle of wine at that point.
Gonna do a Lion King.
Because my son-in-law's a beverage distributor. He's a wine expert. He was trained in France. So he brings
What do
us
they call
good
them?
stuff.
Somali. Yeah.
We just call him Wes. Watch your fingies. Watch your phalanges. Phalangi.
You found my washer?
Yep. Found your car keys. Journey?
I had to look at my car.
What do you got? You got a bearing?
Yeah, he's the new doctor.
Let me see.
He's like, no, I grew up up here. Like they.
All right, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
He's
button
like,
that
no,
bad
too
bear
much
up.
stuff is poisonous. Like, oh my gosh. Never mind.
Okay, take those bolts out.
Then what?
Roll it on its back.
But I wouldn't have eaten them.
If you have one of the,
They're really good. They're really fun.
We'll get the oiler out. Now,
Really organic.
what I need you to do is roll this bad bear onto the crane. Clean off my tabletop here.
Get these so my
We're going to put the crankshaft here. So, two things I don't like to see here. You get half the toolbox sitting on the table. Why aren't they in the box?
Why don't you put a ruler or something next to it? Okay.
No, I just want that spot clear because we're going to lay the crankshaft here. Well, yeah, because, I mean, they get in the way. This is how things get lost. Or if you want to leave them off, put them on the box. Alright. Just leave that over there. Now, set it in number 6.
You mark it?
Yeah. Alright. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to break loose my main cap. Okay? And just like my rods, these guys got to stay in their original position in the block. Because if you get these main caps mixed up and you don't have the way to put them back in their original position, the bore that the crankshaft rides in may not be perfectly round. Okay? And it could possibly come to the point when you apply the torque spec to this, you've locked the crankshaft up. Now, if that's the case, you have two things that you could have possibly done wrong. You put the cap in backwards, or you put the bearings in backwards, and they didn't seat in their locking tabs, and the bearings are locking up the crankshaft. So when you reassemble an engine, every time I put something that clamps onto a rotating part, like for instance the cap on the crankshaft, I'm going to make sure this thing spins. Because if it doesn't, well, the fix is right here. That's this one. That's the last thing I put on it. It don't turn, so we'll look at why it's not there. If I have the wrong size bearings, let's say the crankshaft is a standard diameter crankshaft. In other words, I haven't taken any metal off of it. And I get an oversized bearing, a bearing that's thicker than normal because it's supposed to go on a thinner crankshaft, and I torque those in there, it ain't turning. Now, if I'm in a hurry, I could zip them all on there, and then the time to find out it ain't turning is when I go to bar it over and set the valves, and usually by then, that ship sailed. Now you're into a whole lot of work on the company dime. You ain't charging the customer. So let's grab a socket, and probably going to need a breaker bar. I don't know how tight these are. I don't know if I've had my guys tighten them to spec or not. Let's grab a breaker bar. Yep, because if it's tight, you don't want to damage the ratcheting mechanism on the ratchet.
So there's a bearing?
Yeah, I've been waiting 2 weeks to get my ratchet. Snap on? I don't know what it is with those guys. We waited 4 weeks for, we went on the Snap-on truck and asked for a 1/2-inch drive 12.16 millimeter socket and said he had to order it. It's a Snap-on truck. You don't have one?
Yeah, quick money.
It's tight.
All right.
Pull is better than push, right?
It all depends. I prefer push, depending on the situation. If I'm in an engine band, I don't know what's behind me. My hand slips. I could have a problem.
Yeah.
So what's that cold point?
go with less extension.
Let me see that for a minute. Let me see that for a minute.
What is the torque spec for those?
It's something like 90 and 90, 90 degrees, 90 foot-pounds and 90 degrees.
Ah, okay. Like hers.
I mean, it's expensive as it is. It's nice when you have it. It takes care of you.
You don't, anytime you use an extension when you don't need it, you run the risk of folding that thing off and rattling your hand into something. Okay?
There's a lot of sharp edges right there.
There's definitely a lot of sharp edges. Now, because I'm not in danger of hitting anything, I'm gonna grip it. But if I were worried about hitting something, I would hold it like this. That way, if this thing slips off, I'm not going knuckles deep into something, right? If I've got it like this and it slips off, I can let go of it. I don't care if it bounces in the engine bay, I can pick it up off the floor. But if I've got it like this and it slips off, I may not get my hands open in time, and now I've bloodied up my phalanges, right?
Push myself in the face with a half-inch ratchet.
Yeah, different bucket, we're gonna put main caps in there. Yeah, but just loosen them up now, I don't wanna take them out quite yet. Yeah, because I'm gonna move the engine, so I don't want anything loose.
Main cup.
So,
Yeah, those things don't grip that well.
now, to make your life a little easier when you're doing this for your first time, you notice I've got a little ridge on my caps, right?
Or even triple square. I
And
like the way triple
what you would do is you would take note what side of the engine the ridge is on, so it's opposite the oil cooler. So when you go to reassemble it, you're like, or what you can do now, take a picture.
Yeah. Take a little video.
Take a
or
little picture. I don't need a video. I just need a picture, so once I, get them on.
And I noticed, yeah, each side is different, so you
Yep.
can,
Now
get it
these
all
got,
the right way.
these got numbers on them.
Oh, yeah, there's a number.
4,
right here.
5, 6, and that's 7. This is 3, this is 2, that's 1. So they have numbers on it. So if they should get dropped or misplaced, or some schmuck decides to dump them out on the bench because he doesn't like you, at least you can put them back in their original spot.
Cup.
Okay?
Where's the number again?
Right, it's very small, it's right there. See, right there, 1, 2,
Oh, yeah.
3, 4, 5,
Those are big numbers.
6, and 7.
You can see it from here.
Does that come
I
like
see
that
the
from the
tree.
factory?
Yes, yes. But, just like anything in life, don't assume they did it.
Yes, sir.
Especially if this was built on a Friday before a holiday,
Or Monday.
or a Monday after a holiday, right? So before you do anything, you want to look at it to make sure you have the ability to reassemble it in its OG, original orientation, it's OEM. If you don't see a number, or they don't look copacetic, you might want to consider why are these the caps that came with the block. If there was no problem with the crankshaft and you're not comfortable with it, mark it yourself. But 98% of the time, they'll have the markings on there for you. Okay, 98% of the time.
There's that 2%.
Yeah, I mean,
It wouldn't hurt to maybe mark it anyhow, because those numbers are so small, too.
you could, as long as you mark it with the same number, because if I see a
Yeah.
cap that's got a number 5 and a 6,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, holy crap.
Well, I would go with this.
Hey, Mike, are those bolts for your rods and mains one-time use on these, or are they reusable?
They say you can reuse them. They give you a spec to check the bolt to see if it's reusable.
Oh, you check the shank?
You check the shank diameter and the length of the bolt. If it's stretched, because these are torque to yield, if it's stretched beyond the template that Cummins gives you for that, you can't use it. I myself, if I'm building this thing, I'm gonna break loose and buy new bolts.
Yeah.
I mean, in the big picture of things, I'm gonna let $300 worth of parts destroy a $12,000 rebuild? No. Now, if I'm just needing to get rid of it, I'm putting it in the truck, I just need it to start so the customer can drive it off, I'd probably go back with it.
Tail light warranty? Once I
Yeah,
can't see your
I mean,
taillights
because
anymore,
I'm
warranty's
thinking about it
expired.
on an economics point of view. Why
Yeah.
am I gonna put money into something I'm selling,
Yeah,
right?
I get it.
How often will you pull the tap out? Just because torque specifications for these and the heads and all that, to just make sure it.
This crank probably won't come out until well into 400,000 or 500,000 miles. It may get an in-frame between now and then, which is I just dropped pistons and liners in it. Okay, we got them all loose. All right, let's lock this thing up or unlock my things. Push that toolbox back a little bit, and we'll position this thing underneath my crane.
You know. It's about due for a little work then.
Actually, you know what? Roll that cherry picker over here. Can you get that over here? That might work a little better for me. You might have to move my differential there, guys.
Looks like the scene from The King of the Hill right there.
I'm all standing there.
I know.
On Volvo, they say mark them with a punch. The head bolts too.
Which one? Oh,
numbers.
the numbers are right here.
Oh.
From the front to back, huh?
Okay, watch finish.
These are electric impacts, Mike.
We don't have a budget for that this year.
That looks like a giant wheelchair strap.
You know, I don't know where I got this. It's a tugger strap from something. Okay, now I want to make sure I don't have a lot of lift on that.
Or you want to make it shorter, huh?
Don't trust it.
Oh, you're taking that out?
No, I'm going to shorten it up.
Oh. This one? Okay, this doesn't have.
It might work. I wouldn't be under it though.
No.
I mean, I can go up higher with it.
No, I know. I'm just not sure. I think it'll go high enough. I thought it would let me. Shorten up the fast. All right. All right, let's pull it under. Square it up. All right, up. Lift, lift. Stand clear. Okay, stop. I gotta take my caps off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's loosen these bad bears.
That might be good.
All right, now here's how you're gonna get these caps off, folks. Because they just won't come out by themselves. The old chopsticks, right? You grab them,
Oh.
squeeze them,
Hey, gently.
shake them. No, not gently. You're gonna have to rock these bad bears.
Or else you'll lose a
What number is this?
washer.
This is number 1, right? So stick it under piston numero uno. And just leave the bolts in it.
Yep.
Just loosening, I'm not taking it out.
He has
Because
to
I
hold.
want it to go in order.
Number 2.
Actually, come on.
Yeah.
ABM break this.
What's that speed handle?
That one?
Mm-hmm. That'll help him.
Okay, guys. Here.
Okay, you should be able to spin them off of that.
Take him off.
That's the wrong size. I need the half-inch drive.
Yeah. I think we're gonna be done before that.
You know, it's speed handle with a 1/2 inch. I think there's an adapter on that one actually, so it probably will work.
Okay, I'm gonna try to
Go
take
for
this
it.
thing
Do the
out.
chopstick
Okay?
thing. Alright? Squeeze them together at the top. Just shake it.
I'm Asian, so I know.
Yeah, they're almost done.
Freaking kill it. See, I can't see that because I'm a honky and I would get in trouble being a white nationalist Nazi.
And where do we put it?
You really need me to tell you that? What number's that?
2.
Okay, put it under piston 2. Okay? There you go.
Pitch it out. Oh, right. And so what you're saying, that's facing this side. When we put it back on, just. And that would be.
Okay, we got it. Yeah, it's for the guys downstairs. Because that's a direct vent into the brake on there. Ooh, that is. Probably the spicy ramen.
Still no
It's on the
washer.
cap.
Kind of scored up, but.
Four. Put it under piston 4. That's number 6. Put on piston 6.
Like this.
Okay. That's number 7.
Yeah.
And all the numbers you go on that one, that's what's kind of nice.
Where's number 6? Put it under. Put 6 under 6.
At this point, yeah, you'd be removing everything to inspect. Takes a
He's got number 5.
and decide whether or not you're gonna rebuild it. Or, yeah, it could be loss of compression, it could be knocking from the bottom end, could be loss of oil pressure, things like that.
It's cool, huh?
The bearings are inside of the caps. No, they just pop out. Yeah. But they don't really say that it's a good idea to just buy new caps and put on there, because when they built this engine, they lined it, which is where they use one big long drill bit,
Now,
and they go very straight right
what
through.
we're going to do,
Well, if you're gonna do that, I would just replace the block at that point.
jack it up.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to just put it back.
We can throw this on the box.
Depends on the type of
Put it on the box.
engine.
Jack it up later.
So what may go for this one may not really go for the
Watch your
basics of
fingers.
it, yes.
Like surgery.
There's your washer.
There's my washer.
Now we only had to pull the crank to get it.
It's one of those
Holy
sensors,
cow.
I think, because
Yeah,
there's
one of the
still
washer.
sensor.
All right. All right, that's good. Now,
That one's a cam.
No, it was
No,
the
it's,
sensor.
the oil, it was an oiler?
Cam is
Yeah,
at
an
the
oiler.
low, and the
Okay,
crank,
grab-
think of
grab
it like
this
one.
Oh, the bearing. Okay, leave that in there for now.
I thought you
washed it, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
All right.
That's
Now,
the pedaling like that.
pull that back
Those weights kind of offset the weight of the piston.
slowly. Swing the snout of it around when you can, over to my table here.
Get it balanced.
All right, now, move my boxes, pull the back of it around, 180.
We're going there?
Yep, we're gonna go on the table.
This table here.
That's the only table I see. Okay, so watch your feet, don't let, this thing will run you over and it doesn't care.
Yeah.
All right,
It's the house.
now,
That's,
We're kind of gonna push that stuff under there.
okay.
now, Mike,
Yes,
friggin' slowly
let it down,
lower this thing down.
really slow, okay?
See it like that.
You guys ready?
Move to
We are.
your
1,
right.
2,
Mike, move to your right.
Go slow.
Yes.
Okay.
Good, you see that?
Slow it down. Now put it on the main drill.
Yeah, that's experience talking.
Watch your head.
I've been hitting the head like that.
Yep, yep, slow, slow.
very good.
Keep going. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, keep going now. All right. Now, just park that over there. Let me get my feet skis out of the way. Watch it. Don't fling it into his face. I don't want to hurt my hook. Okay, now. It's not uncommon for the catheter to come out with that one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 2, 3, right? Put that in number 3 cap. If it's the cap, if it's not, if it's in the block,
No, it's over here.
is it in the cap?
Yeah, it's missing from the last cap.
That's what I'm saying.
There's one
So,
missing
oh,
from
so
here.
it was installed wrong. This engine would have seized up.
Where did that? All right, that's fine.
Yeah, they
But
had it
there's one
on
missing
the
here.
last cap.
Oh, you know what?
There's
Let
one
me see
missing
that
here.
bearing.
Or did it come out? It came out
Oh,
of
it
the block?
came out of here,
So then
yeah.
you're missing one then.
Yeah, 3, that's 3.
Yeah.
See, 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
It's 3.
Is there one on the floor?
There's one on the crankshaft here.
Oh yeah, that's it. Let me get that one off the crank. On the end.
Can you lift it?
Tripod? Just take the weight off of it.
Yeah, because that's your oil supply.
The bearings look good, right? to me?
They're okay. Yeah, they're not bad.
Is there another material if you start wearing through, like,
Yep.
like copper?
This is exactly how you check the life of the engine. This is like a Dagwood sandwich.
And then you fill those half.
Okay, I've got the softer metals up top, lead, aluminum.
Because the clearance between this and that.
Then we go into other metals, copper,
Yeah,
brass.
yeah, because you see the
Then
copper, you
then
know they're bad.
Then we go into other metals like nickel, chromium, and steel. And when I do an oil analysis, I look for the wear metals in the oil. And if I'm starting to see a lot of chromium and steel, that tells me I'm running out of bearing here, right? And that could be one of the ways I decide whether I want to keep this truck or not, right? If I've got a budget and I've got to get rid of some trucks and I got 4 trucks with a lot of steel and chrome in them, that means I'm running out of main bearing. That means those trucks are going on the chopping block.
Can you just replace them?
Sure, I can
Well, you
roll.
may
a-
have
I-
to turn the crank too, right?
Maybe. If I've got more trucks that are bad than I can replace, I'll pick the 2 that are the worst of the bad, and I'll just simply roll another set of bearings in. I don't have to take the crank out. I just roll a new set of bearings in it. Standard, because I can't make the crank. I can't mic or measure the crank, so I'll just roll another standard set of bearings in there and hope I still got oil pressure.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You know,
Otherwise you lose that.
Because-
pressure.
to do what we're doing, this thing would have to come out.
Hydrodynamic
How
wood.
come they don't use like brass, oh, because that's the oil part of it.
That's a freeze plug.
Yeah, the freeze plug, yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
Or lack of-
Let's take about a 10-minute break, come back about 9:45, and we'll yank the cylinders out of this beast.